Howdy everyone, welcome to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. It was a massive lift last weekend. Went to every single day out at Suncorp Stadium from Thursday to Sunday. Oh man, that was a big lift. But it produced. You put in the effort and you get a good reward, because magic round, I got a perfect 8 from 8. That has never happened before. That's the first time in Ace High Tip Show history I've got a perfect 8 from 8, and it was magic round for 2026. Absolutely brilliant. And the magic friggin' continued this morning, because Arsenal have won the Premier League for the first time in 22 years. If nobody knew that, and I don't think anybody really did, or maybe even cares, because this is a rugby league tip show, I've been an Arsenal fan all my life, so I'm absolutely buzzing right now. But let's get stuck straight into the tips in what will be an abbreviated round of rugby league due to the State of Origin teams being announced over the past 48 hours or so. So without further ado, let's get stuck in round number 12 of the Ace High Tip Show for season 2026. Round 12 starts on Thursday night football from GIO Stadium. The Canberra Raiders host the Dolphins, and the Raiders come into the game as favourites, $1.77. The Dolphins, they come into it as $2.10 outsiders, and it's kind of fortuitous that I'm recording this on a Wednesday morning, even though the team list dropped last night or yesterday afternoon, because there's also been a couple of more changes here as well for one of these teams. But the Raiders, they're coming off of a bye. They missed out on Magic Round, and this is how they line up. So you've got Weeks, Tamale, and Xavier Savage in the back three. Chris and Timoko are in the centres. Laurie and Sanders are in the halves. Corey Horsburgh, Starling and Tarpanay are up front. Mariota, Hosking and Brayley are in the back row. Then you've got Paddy, Uta, Smithies, Jed Stewart, Chevy Stewart and Jake Clydesdale. And Kobe Black has also been named as jersey number 20. Now for the Dolphins here, Trey Fuller will be at fullback due to Hammer being in State of Origin. Azarko and Tavita Nafahu are also going to be the other two wingers. So when Cobo is in State of Origin, Jack Bostock and Herbie Farnworth were named. But very early this morning, Wednesday morning, Herbie Farnworth has been ruled out of this contest, and Oren Keeley is going to be shifted into the centres. So the centre pairing is going to be Bostock and Oren Keeley. The halves pairing is Brad Schneider and Isaiah Katoa. Forward pack is Kofusi, Marshall King, and a returning Francis Molo. Back row is Lemuelu, Fenefuiaki, and Morgan Knowles. The interchange is Donahue, Stone, Gilbert, Oren Keeley, who's now been promoted. You've got Brian Poiniu and Lewis Simons, and I would probably imagine that Finian Ganofo will be elevated onto the six-man bench here. This was a tough game to tip, and because Herbie Farnworth has been ruled out, I'm going to lean in favour of the Canberra Raiders. Ethan Strange is out due to Origin commitment, so congratulations to him. Dane Laurie has been pretty impressive every time he's hit the paddock for the Raiders in season 2026. The forward pack battle should be really interesting as well. I think Fenefuiaki is going to be a menace. I think this should be a really close game. I do think the Dolphins have the better bench, in my opinion, but I think the Raiders off of a bye, and with the outs that the Dolphins have, Hammer, Farnworth and Cobo, I think that should be enough to see the Canberra Raiders just get over the line. And look, if they compete and complete like they did against the Penrith Panthers, they will beat 90% of the rest of the competition, the way that they played and fought the Penrith Panthers. So if they bring the same sort of attitude and execution on Thursday night against the Dolphins, I think they should be too much for the Dolphins, but I think this will be a close one. Raiders 1-12 for me. Friday night football sees only the one game, and it's from Accor Stadium. The Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs take on the Melbourne Storm. The Bulldogs are $1.75 favourites. The Melbourne Storm are $2.10 outsiders, and good God, this could be a disastrous game of rugby league. Good heavens above. Both these teams playing dog water levels of rugby league last weekend at Magic Round. The Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, they line up like this, however. Jacob Carraz is back, or at least he's been named on the wing for now. Maybe he's got to pass a test, a fitness test or something, but he has been named. Bronson Sherry and Tawala are in the centres. Stephen Crichton playing Origin. He's out, and Jonathan Sewer is the other winger. So it's going to be Carraz and Sewer as the wingers. Then you've got the regular halves pairing. The forward pack here is pretty much by the numbers. Unfortunate for Jacob Preston that he wasn't even named in the squad. That was a bit of a shocker. The interchange reads Mann, Hayes, Underhill, AJ Jones, Vinakama, and Marcelo Montoya, with Josh Curran being named as jersey number 21. Now for the Melbourne Storm here, Fa'alongo is at fullback. Warbrick and Leo are on the stings. Howarth and Nick Meaney are in the centres. Keegan Russell Smith will fill the shoes of Cameron Munster this Friday night. Jerome Hughes stays at halfback. The forward pack is Uto Ikamanu, Trent Tolau at hooker, and Josh King as the other front rower. Harry Grant playing State of Origin. Blore, Lasati and Cooper Clark are the back row. The interchange reads Satrick, McDonald, Mawali, Hewen, Chan and Watiri, and you've also got Josiah Pahuli that's been named on the reserves. Melbourne Storm won the game, but the Parramatta Eels were that bad that it kind of glossed over how poor the Melbourne Storm were for about 50 minutes of that game. They were awful. That was a dreadful performance from both of those sides. The Melbourne Storm can consider themselves lucky they took on the Parramatta Eels, I should say, in that game, because they would have lost to anybody else the way that they performed. That's still with Grant and Munster in the team. For the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, oh boy, they kind of looked disinterested, and Gus Gould came out 24 hours ago thereabouts and said that there is a bit of disharmony, that there is an internal issue in the club at the moment that the boys are trying to look past and get past, but clearly it's had a massive impact because they've beaten the Panthers and everyone was on an absolute high, and then something's happened over the next couple of days because they haven't won a game since. This could be an awful game of football, but it's a game between two desperate sides, especially the Bulldogs, who have lost, 6 games in a row, something like that. And I think that without Munster and Grant, I think the Storm, Fa'alongo and Hughes, if they drag the Storm to a victory against the Bulldogs, I would be very tempted to put out in public and say that is a line through the Bulldogs for season 2026. This Dogs team there might be another injury or two, but they're only missing Stephen Crichton at the moment, right? Man, if they don't get the job done against the Melbourne Storm on Friday, things are going to crumble. And it's already weak at the knees, man, but it will officially begin to crumble if they lose this game to the Melbourne Storm without Munster and Grant. The Bulldogs, they've got their full-strength spine. Even though they're not in form, they still got their full-strength spine. You've still got Preston and Tupanua. Yeah, man, if they don't get it done, they're in trouble. And they already have the alarm bells ringing. So Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, I think they will scrape by and get their first win in well over a month this Friday night against the Storm. There are 2 games on Super Saturday, and match number 1 starts at 5:30 in the afternoon from Cogra. The Dragons take on the New Zealand Warriors. The Dragons, they are $4.25. The Warriors, they are about $1.23. The New Zealand Warriors were super impressive. My best of energies, just my best I'm sending out to you, Tanner Boyd. My God, I was there and when that moment happened, every single human in that stadium lost their breath. I hope it's a really swift, quick recovery for you, Mr. Tanner Boyd. Meanwhile, the Dragons, they shut a lot of people up with their best performance in well over a month against the Panthers, but still they lost the game, I think, 28 points to 6 in the end. So this is how they line up. The St. George Illawarra Dragons. Jaden Sewer returns from a suspension and he's going to be playing in the centre. Moses Sully is out with a head knock, I believe. Other than that, the 1 down through to 7 is unchanged. The forward pack here is also unchanged, I think. Egan Stewart and Ryan Couchman are the back row, with Toby Couchman and Pacifici Tonga starting up front, and Damien Cook at hooker. The interchange reads Leilua, Gawler, Kerr, Lowry, Sloan, and King Togia. Hame Sele also named on the reserves. Now for the New Zealand Warriors, not too many changes, which is really, really shocking. So Tane Tuapiki remains at fullback, and we've got Harris Tavita and Tamare Martin who are in the halves. Now there was some sort of conversation last night on 360 where Riccio said that the Dragons had Luke Metcalf do a physical before they officially had him put pen to paper, and so therefore he hasn't had contact in training for about a fortnight, and that's the reason why he hasn't even been named in the reserves. Luke Metcalf, one would have thought he would have been an immediate inclusion, but because the Dragons wanted him to do a fitness test for them, he wasn't allowed to really have a whole lot of contact in training for the past fortnight, so that's ruled him kind of ineligible, like an unwritten law being ineligible to be selected. So that's bizarre, and I don't think that makes a whole, like, it makes sense, but I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Something's up, and it might be Andrew Webster saying, you've brought a little bit of disharmony over the past couple of weeks, mate, so you can sit out and you'll bide your time, because Tamari Martin came off the bench, played in Tanner Boyd's shoes last weekend and was solid as a rock, was Tamari Martin. The forward pack is Fisher Harris, Wade Egan and Jackson Ford. Why Laurie Daly didn't choose Jackson Ford to be a part of the New South Wales Blues is an absolute disgrace. I do not know why. I think I know why, because there's some favouritism leaning towards Victor Radley. Some people, like Braithen Astor, said that Victor Radley deserved a Blues spot. No. Jackson Ford deserved a Blues spot. Laurie Daly also said that Jackson Ford's more of a prop. He can't really play out on an edge, which is what I was kind of looking for. Well, Jackson Ford played about 2 or 3 years of first grade in the second row, man. So Jackson Ford being done dirty for favouritism towards Victor Radley, in my opinion. You've also got Jacob Saifidi, but I'm going down the Origin pipeline here, the vortex, it's sucking me in, and I think it's absolutely disgraceful that Jackson Ford, who was second on the Dally M leaderboard still after 11 rounds of footy, he can't make a Blues side. I think that's dog shit from Laurie Daly, to be honest with you. Halasima, Laban and Clark, they are the back row. The interchange reads Healy, Stour Smith, Valmolga, Iramia Tuava, Luke Hansen and Murata Niukure has also been named on the interchange. Roger Tuivasa Sheck has been named in the reserves, and missing here for the Warriors is Kirk Capewell and Mitch Barnett due to Origin commitments. Sorry, Dragons fans. I think the Warriors, I think they'll win. I think it will be 13 plus, but it won't be an extravagant 13 plus. I think that game would have taken a fair bit of out of them. And this is their second week in a row that they're on the road. And they haven't played at Go Media Stadium for a month now. So, yeah, I think they might feel a little bit of the pinch in the Dragons back at home. If they can kind of replicate what they did against the Panthers, it will be a bit of a stinging contest. But in any event, Warriors are going to win this game. I'm tipping the Warriors. The second game on Super Saturday is from 7:30 from 4 Pines Park. It's Manly versus the Gold Coast Titans. And Manly, they come in as $1.23 favourites. The Gold Coast Titans are $4.25 outsiders. And there is a piece of me that is looking at this Titans team and remembering the history that they've got at 4 Pines Park. They go pretty well. I think they lost on their last outing to 4 Pines Park, but the Titans go pretty well at 4 Pines Park. And considering the outs for the Sea Eagles, there's a piece of me that wants to tip the Titans, but there's no way that I am giving them the benefit of the doubt. I've been burnt by them way too many times. But let's go into the team list anyway, and I'll explain why. So Clayton Falololo remains at fullback, who was super impressive last weekend for Magic Round. Saab and Wilson are the wings. Felady and Garrick are in the centres, and Brooks and Fogarty are in the halves. The forward pack is Paseka and Bullymore starting up front with Brandon Wakeham at hooker. We've got Jackson Sherab, Ben Trebojevic and Jake Trebojevic in the back row. Holmole Olakawatu playing for Origin for New South Wales. Tolata Kola is also playing New South Wales, and Lehigh Hopewadi has been suspended for referee contact. The interchange for the Sea Eagles is Simpkin, Brown, Hetherington, Leafe and Hugo Hart and Joey Walsh. For the Gold Coast Titans here, Jalen de Groot is going to play centre. Jojo Fafita has been named to play for Queensland on the wing. So congratulations to Jojo Fafita. Philip Sammy is also going to be the other winger. So Jalen de Groot and AJ Brimson are in the halves. The forward pack here is Fodawaker and Haas starting up front. Big Tino playing for Queensland. Hull, Fermor and Cooper By are the back row. The interchange reads Morin, Paxton, Somerton, Christensen, Ilias and Bodie Sharpley. And Chris Randall has been named on the reserves as he's dealing with a bit of a head knock situation. Look, I can't give the benefit of the doubt to the Titans. I can't. They played well for that first half, and I feel kind of sorry for them in a way, because they were good against the Knights in that first half. It was 6-all. They came out and it was solid footy for about 5 minutes, and then just a couple of back-to-back errors and random pieces of luck and joy for the Newcastle Knights. And the Gold Coast Titans are looking up at the scoreboard and it's 18 points to 6, 50 minutes in, and they would have looked at each other and gone, shit, we don't deserve to be down by that much, man. And I think that played on their minds, and then they just crumbled from that point onwards in that game against the Newcastle Knights. For the Sea Eagles, look, man, they took on the Tigers side that were depleted. They're not in good form. And again, I'm going to just push the narrative. Who have the Sea Eagles actually really beaten? And now they're going up against a Titans side that is only really missing Big Tino. I mean, Jojo Fafita, yes, but Big Tino's the real thing here that's missing for the Titans, whereas they're still out Turbo. They're out Olakawatu and Kola, who have been arguably two of their best players all season. So there is a sniff. I'll be fair to him. There is a sniff here for the Gold Coast Titans, but I can't tip him. You've got Jamal Fogarty, who can still lead the team around. I'm going to be so pissed off if the Titans win this game. I'm going to be so pissed off, but I can't. I can't. I can't do it. I'm going to tip the Manly Sea Eagles 1-12. And the final game of round number 12 is from Queensland Country Bank Stadium. North Queensland Cowboys take on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Cowboys are $1.70 favourites. The South Sydney Rabbitohs are $2.15 outsiders. Ye freaking ha. What an awesome victory for the North Queensland Cowboys against the Roosters. Down a man for 20 minutes, and they defended, and boy howdy, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. I said something to the words to the effect that this team, you know, they don't want to defend or they can't defend, and boy howdy, they showed up for everyone. Liam Sutton making his debut, you know, Jason Taumalolo rested, did and out. Such a tough win, and that's a win that they can produce once or three times a season. And hopefully we get to see it a little bit more for the rest of season 2026. And I've got to say, at this rate, Todd Payton's the coach for 2027 and possibly a year beyond as well. I think he's earned himself an extension, but I mean, I don't think a 1-year extension would be good. I think it's got to be 2 years, or you got to say goodbye to Todd Payton at this rate. But how can you really cut him at this moment? Like, who's better to come in right now? Excuse me, and I don't know, but I think Todd Payton is on the verge of an extension, excuse me. So let's go into the team list here. North Queensland Cowboys, Scott Drinkwater, Rob Derby, and Zach Labert. They are the back three. Chester and Purdue are in the centres. Liam Sutton, Jay Clifford remain in the halves. Clifford is this close to an Origin debut. Crazy. McKaylee, Marnie, and Lodge. Lukey, McIntyre, and Taumalolo are in the back row. So Taumalolo returns. Lukey overlooked by Billy Slater for the Queensland team. Terribly unlucky, and you'd imagine Lukey will be going like a bull at a gate this Sunday. The interchange is Viliami Vilea in jersey 14, Griffin Neem, O'Donnell, Hess, Karisk, and Ethan King, with Wiromu Greg, who has been named in the reserves. Maybe he could be pushing someone like an Ethan King out of the six-man interchange bench come kickoff. For the South Sydney Rabbitohs, there are changes deluxe here, and it's annoying because it's actually a decent team that's coming up to Townsville this Sunday. So Jai Gray is at fullback. Alex Johnston returns. He's going to play on the wing. And Talanoa Penatani makes his first grade debut this weekend on the wing. Yes, he is related to Tiana Penatani Gray, and he was impressive in the preseason trials earlier this year. Latrell Siegwalt and Tallis Duncan are in the centres. Duncan in the centres. Whoever he's taking on, whether it be Chester or Purdue, he's definitely got the height and size advantage. And I hope it's Chester that's taking on Tallis Duncan. That'll be a fascinating one-on-one matchup. Then we've got Cody Walker, Ashton Ward as the halves pairing. The forward pack is Totola, Kepi, and Mamazoulis returns to first grade. He's at hooker. Bugger, that's a good inclusion for Souths. Aitken, Kolomatangi, and Adam Elliott are in the back row. Kolomatangi, I think he was overlooked by Laurie Daly due to how much he comes across as injured at this rate. I don't know. I'm making up an excuse for Laurie Daly. I really don't know why he was overlooked by Laurie Daly, to be honest with you. The interchange is Matt Duffy, Hubner, Jamie Humphreys, Liam LeBlanc, Tom Fletcher, and Edward Cossey. And also just quietly, John Riddell has also been named in the reserves. So hopefully he can float around on the interchange bench and come up for a flight back home to North Queensland. I think this is the game of the round. I think it's shaping up to be the game of the round. There was a train of thought that Murray Taulagi could have returned from a concussion, but he's now going to sit out for a third straight week. Braden Burns just twinged his hamstring. Could return next weekend, but I wouldn't be holding my breath about that. And Ruben Cotter is playing for Queensland. So I think this is going to be a cracking game. You can watch me and Dor from the All Out Club commentate on this one. So we're back doing a commentary, our commentary this weekend for Cowboys versus South. So check us out there. The Cowboys win this game 1-12, come up with the exact same attitude and execution as they had against the Sydney Roosters, and this Rabbitohs side may not be able to defend someone like a Scott Drinkwater and a Tom Chester slicing them open. So thank you very much for the continuous support, everybody. Have a very nice weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you. Take care. Adios.